Hi, I'm Annalisa Jasinski,
I'm Tom Jasinski.
and we have the YouTube channel called Meat, M-E-A-T, and Marriage, which covers the two areas of life that we are currently the very most passionate about. This is our very first video, and we're using the invitation from Carrie at Homestead How to start to make our first video. So we're going to tell our carnivore story, why we got started, what was happening before, what's happening now that we are currently, I'm 83 days in and you are?
I'm 100 days in.
Day 100.
As of today, 100
Look, we're
days.
celebrating.
It's like,
We
wow.
meant to do that. We didn't mean to do that.
No,
It was
we
a
didn't.
happy,
I just
lots of-
realized it like a couple hours ago.
lots of happy accidents over here at the Meat and Marriage channel.
Lots.
So, do you want to start? Where were you before you found carnivore?
Well, it was, I don't know, it's been years of just trying to battle the weight as so many people have. And I'm 56 years old. And it's like 365 pounds. I'm not now. And work construction, drywall hanging and finishing and painting. And it just was grueling work. And especially when you're that much overweight, just morbidly obese. So I got to the point where, probably a couple years ago, that I needed to do something. I didn't want to live this way, feeling this miserable, all the pain that I was in, and I also didn't want to die. So constantly evaluating, how do I get here? Tried HCG, low fat way back in the day, keto, low carb, Atkins, however you word any of that stuff, and just never could stick with it ever until carnivore. And so I had been, on TikTok I had seen some videos of some people talking about it. I saw a little bit about Jordan Peterson, which I listened to a little of his stuff, but then the carnivore stuff kind of caught my attention. What else was it that kind of got me going?
Well, we had done some stopping and starting multiple different times, and then my sister invited me to a no sugar 21-day no sugar challenge. And the day I started it, Tom just like out of the blue that morning quietly just said, I'm gonna do this with you.
I'm gonna do carnivore. And you kind of looked at me like I was crazy, or like, what? You like didn't even for sure what I knew what I meant.
Registered.
Yeah,
I was like,
you were just
first
surprised
of all,
that I was going to do
I
anything.
don't know exactly what that means.
But
Secondly, okay.
But there's a guy called Carnivore Steve on TikTok, and I had messaged him. I think he's like 170 days in or something, and he's doing real well. And I'd message him and talk to him, and I thought about starting when he did. And, of course, there's always the 20/20 hindsight. I wish I would have, because I'd be so much further along, but you don't know until you know. And so that was where I was kind of like, hey, by the way, because we were driving home from a job on a Sunday, and they had this conversation on the phone that I was listening to, and I kind of was like, okay, I just set it in my mind, I'm just going to do this. So then it started the next day, and then I let Annalisa know.
So for the first 2.5 weeks of his carnivore journey, I was just doing a very sort of a keto, just no sugar and just cutting out some junk, eating lots of fruits and veggies. And and Tom was also starting to really dig into the research, and he was playing these videos in our living room on our TV
endlessly
24/7. So I was hearing just by osmosis. I wasn't interested. I started to go, okay, this sounds like it makes sense for him. Obviously, he seemed like even a week in, I could see some differences. But then 2.5 weeks in, I remember sitting down with him, or I don't remember, did you call me over there at some point?
I wanted you to watch something.
Listen to this one. Watch this one with me.
Oh, yeah, it was, I'm drawing a blank, the lady who wrote the book.
Dr. Elizabeth Bright.
Yeah, I said, you probably ought to watch this.
Because I was like, I was kind of like, it sounds like it's a good thing for men. Like, I had never been a huge meat eater anyway. Meat is usually, I don't know, it's just kind of take it or leave it. And so I was like, well, this is probably a dude thing. It just seems like something that would build muscles and whatever. Why do I need that? Whatever. But I had started to really notice, even after 2.5 weeks, I was like, this is working for him. He's like something good is happening. And so he played a video. It was actually Kelly Hogan and Dr. Elizabeth Bright. And because I said, does this work for women? And so when he played that video, because I'd been seeing Sean Baker and Anthony Chafee and Ken Berry and just like all these men talking about stuff, and I wasn't putting together the female side of things. And my two big pain points were perimenopause, like 2 years of really tough symptoms.
Hard.
I like lost myself and lost my good humor.
Say the least.
Sometimes have. And the other, so that was my presenting problem. The 80 extra pounds of body fat. Well, I had tried everything. I was almost like reconciled to just being fat, I guess. I don't know. And then when Kelly Hogan said the thing about butter boobs, I was like, because I had gone on keto religiously for 18 months and I had done a lot of intermittent and extended fasting, but that kind of restrictive fasting was really rough on the bust. And so deflated balloons was not something I could get excited about anymore. And so when she said butter boobs, I was like, okay, my menopause symptoms will be addressed and I can have butter boobs. I was like, sign me up, we're gonna try this. And so I'm 2.5 weeks behind him. And so I'm on day 83. So let's.
And that's usually a weird thing too, because you'll be like, hey, I'm going to do something, and I usually follow along, which I kind of did, in the sense
but you were the one that found carnivore.
Carnivore, so that's even been.
You get the credit.
Well, it's not that. It's just weird. It's just another thing that.
You've also led the research. Like you've been the one digging, and I do now a lot more of it.
It gets. I got to stop myself sometimes. I'm like, it's just constant watching stuff, listening to things, and I think it's good to kind of rewire your brain because we've been so geared differently. Not that I followed like the old food pyramid, because I was checked out of that. It was donuts and Coke or whatever, or tequila. Lots of tequila, lots and lots of tequila, but not the last 100 days. So yeah, it was just a major shift. And so when you take and make a shift like that, that's so, 56 years in the making, eating junk food, know all the good donut shops.
He's famous for tequila and donuts. That's his brand.
Yeah.
He's built his whole life around it.
Yeah, But anyway.
So now we know what was up leading up. Well, and you also had diabetes and high blood pressure. You were
crazy amount of pain, fatty liver. Kidney enzymes were rising. The doctor was, we're gonna have to do an ultrasound on your liver, and I know a lot was the drinking, but after a lot of research, I know that most of this problem was the diabetic, the blood sugar, and how everything is processed and how overtaxed your liver is. So you put the combination of those two. I'm lucky it wasn't real bad. I don't remember exactly where the numbers were. They were up, and of course I just had blood work done yesterday, so I'll be curious. It'll be my third blood work since, and as numbers have been dropping. So I'll be curious, next week when I find out what that is,
maybe
or where they
we'll
are.
Make a video.
Maybe.
So let's talk about where we are now. Like what has happened in the past 100 days for you, 83 days for me. Like maybe just some of the big things.
Well, of course, started out at I say 365 is where I started. That I lost down to 353, and then on carnivore it's been 353 to 299. I just got under 300, never going back in 100 days. So I mean that's a half a pound a day on average. That's a lot. But with that, like my A1C has gone from 11.7 to 5.7. My blood sugars were hitting 290, 330. Now they're 84 to 110, depending in the morning with the dawn effect. Yeah. So, but that's not too often. So I really average in the high 90s right now, and it dips a little down or peaks up a little bit. I was on Claritin D for 25 years. And right when I started, we had one pill left, and my daughter would take it and I would take it, but we would neither one take the last pill. So So I didn't take it. She didn't take it. And about a week later, I was like, I guess maybe I'm not needing this so much. Maybe the allergies have, you know, died down a little bit or something. But and then 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and now 100 days. Haven't taken a Claritin D and have had no issues. Ragweed's through the roof here in Southwest Missouri right now, and normally I'm doubling up on those. I'm miserable. I sleep with a washcloth that's damp on my face. That's gone. Oh, sleep apnea's gone. Snoring's gone. I sleep through the night. I don't wake up to go pee in the night anymore. Meprazole, 25 years, that's gone, or a host of different types of those. For a while, I would take one, I don't know, every 3 or 4 days. Then it went to 6 or 7 days. Now it's just gone. I don't know when I took one the other day because I thought I was going to have an issue and didn't need it. And off of metformin with that. Blood pressure's almost, it's getting there. I've got off clonidine. I was on that. I'm off of that. Still taking metoprolol, but I've reduced the dose in half. So that I'm thinking probably within 6 to 8 weeks that'd be gone based on the past, like years ago when I was lighter. Years ago. What else?
ADHD.
Oh, dear Lord. The clarity. So I went on a quest probably 2 years ago again, maybe 3, trying to figure out what would help with ADHD besides ADHD medicine, and the focus and the fog. Don't wake up in the morning, can't focus for 2 hours or longer. So I don't know. As a whole, I'm clear as a bell.
And
I think
energy.
I am. Energy.
Are.
Oh my!
I will
oh
say
my
for
God.
sure.
Energy.
Your thoughts are clear. You're quick at thinking. You come to in the morning in minutes, not hours.
At a weekend, I was out taking the dog for a walk, and I never do that. I was like, I'm gonna go take my dog for a walk.
He cooks. He cleans. He does things I just never expected. He had no energy.
Yeah,
it
it was
wasn't
just
that
dead.
he didn't want to.
You go bust your ass all day doing that, and then you're carrying around, 150 extra pounds. It's nothing. But even that, it all started with. I needed to lose weight or I'm going to die, and that would be a start to the problem. I didn't think about that it would get me necessarily off medicines, or it would. And then I don't know, maybe a month in, I realized, or maybe 4 weeks in, I realized, oh, this isn't about weight anymore. This is about eating right, which I was. I mean, I haven't even taken a hint of a cheat at all of anything,
which is also very unusual
weird
for you. Yes.
It's been like extremely easy for me. I know it's not for everybody, but holy cow, it's been super easy. Thank God, because it's sure doing a number physically. I mean, today I was doing some work on some baseboard at a house, and I was down on the floor like no problem. And a builder that is a good friend too, I was talking to him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just down here on the floor, and it's no big deal anymore. And I've been back down to the 300-pound mark and didn't feel like this before either.
No.
So this is really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much more I can't even think about. It's like just make a list.
I know.
I wish people be like, oh, that's crazy. Just eat meat. And so we got a new phone the other day because I smashed my phone, and the girl something came up, and I'm like, oh, that insurance is going to come off. Oh, there's a pound of bacon. And we said that 3 or 4 times. She's like, do you guys just eat bacon? I'm like, well, we eat bacon and butter and beef
and eggs.
That's pretty much it. And she's like, are you serious? So we talked about it, and she took our name and number and said she's going to think about it. It sounded interesting, but it doesn't seem far-fetched now or crazy, but it is definitely not the norm. But then when you do this and it makes so much change in your life that you can't even, we're talking to the camera here, sharing with whoever might see this, and there's no way to convey it unless you've been down that road, but you would hope somebody would give it a try. Because it's not like, right now my goal is to get to 215, which would be 150 pounds total weight loss. Don't know if I'm going to go less than that. Won't know till I get there, because it's been 35 years since I've weighed 215 pounds. And so we'll see when I get there, but I know I'm going to get there. That's the bizarre thing. That's just so weird. And
The absolute
you just
faith
know.
in the system, the way of eating, the lifestyle change, and how the more you do it, the more you want to do it.
Right.
We watched another couple with the YouTube channel talking about how they got addicted to the results.
Yeah.
And I really think that's why neither one of us has any desire to deviate from this
Right.
very specific way of eating.
I think that was, wasn't that Laura Spath and
Spath,
her husband? They're really,
because
really nice.
We don't feel restricted when you stop hurting and you start being able to think clearly. And for me, some of the biggest things that changed within a week, all of the hormonal issues that I had literally been run over by for almost 2 years were gone. No heat flashes. My cycle, when it did happen, had zero symptoms.
You didn't even know. You were like,
I was
shocked.
like, oh,
whoa,
look at there.
I started.
And it should have, normally there were bells and whistles and alarms sounding.
For 2 years, it was like, oh dear, here we
6
go.
days
And you've
ahead,
never
and then-
been like that.
No, this was just, everything changed instantly. And then I really haven't seen significant weight loss yet. And thankfully, shout out to Bella, Steak and Butter Gal,
Steak and Butter.
and the Steak and Butter Gang. I joined them, and that community has really helped me understand the importance of healing my disordered and undernourished eating and the restrictive fasting and all of those things I did to hurt my body by avoiding food for so long, because it was safe to just not eat. But you do have to eat sometimes, and your body does need nourishment, and learning how to feed my body correctly when my body is healed enough to release fat, that will happen. And again, it's that confidence. So I don't feel like I have any reason to doubt myself or doubt my body's ability to heal. And I know I'm not going to look like a shriveled old prune when I get there, because
Right.
I've lost the weight before, as recently as maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I got down to about 150, and I started at 240, and I think I'm like
229.
220 something
like that.
229 now, whatever. I'm not big on the numbers because they can really get in my head. But, and especially when I'm watching his scale just, and I'm over here like, never mind. I weigh every 2 weeks just for science. But just the menopausal, the reduction of menopause, the elimination
If nothing changed.
of menopausal symptoms, period. No pun intended.
Oh.
But that in and of itself would be enough to make me a lifelong subscriber to this way of eating. But then the deeper I've gotten into the science and into just all this new information about plants, about I've never went vegetarian, but I was close. I loved salad. Everybody knew I loved salad.
God.
Turns out I just loved fat. And
Box
so
of donuts for
just-
me and a bowl of salad for
with
you.
a whole bottle of dressing on it. I just loved the fat. So now I get to just skip all the junk and just eat the fat. So I think that's the big points for the moment, lest we take all day with this video.
I was thinking too, I was watching Dr. Sean Baker video today, and he was talking about what will it take? What's the turning point? And he was talking about, diabetes and an amputation that he had to do. And so he was using it as a way, just like, what is it going to take? People, and so it's like now, for people to change, and I'll probably end up responding to that video, but it was, that was another thing, was the diabetic thing. There was just so many things that come along with that I was, that I think I was more concerned about that than anything. All the damage that it was doing, and so you wake up and here we are. And what my point was is about getting on the ADHD, getting on the other side of that mindset, where now I'm not thinking, well, why would you do that, or that seems pretty extreme, and sometimes like it is, but it's not, because it's freedom. I mean,
it's
it
just
really
so
is
different,
freedom.
but it's not extreme once you are in,
Right.
once you're in the mentality of it. And I really think when I was watching that video with him, that Sean Baker proposed the question, like, what's it going to take for you to change? Lose a leg? Well, for me, I was looking actively and trying things. I mean, I became discouraged over time, and I was like less and less willing to try something just because someone said. But I think the information. Like, I didn't know this was available. And this is part of the reason why we're stepping out of our comfort zone and starting this channel, because I think all the voices together and everybody speaking up and letting our example shine. One of our kids is already a month in to his carnivore journey. Two other of our kids are talking about it and kind of toying with the idea. So they're just watching us, and they know us, and they know how we've struggled, and they see the difference in our demeanor and in our attitude and in our function. And so I think that people don't know. I sure didn't know. We're intelligent people. We stay informed. We keep our eyes open, and we're open-minded. But unless we really all use our voices, and Carrie from Homestead House has been
such an
inspirational with this. I'm going to sign up for the movie. I want to be in the movie. But I just think that this is a concept whose time is now, because so many of us have been where we were, which was just really discouraged and miserable and sick and in pain. And who knew that just feeding your body right? I mean, it makes so much sense now. How did I ever doubt that? But who knew that this was the way to feed your body right? And I explain it to people, for the most part. I say I'm on an elimination diet, and I just never thought to eliminate vegetables. Like, that was never the thing. I always eliminated until that's all I had left. I mean, the oxalate toxicity in my body was next level. My neck has less pain in it than it has had for,
oh my gosh,
15, maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that my neck doesn't hurt anymore. And I know that's oxalate, or that was oxalate.
Oh,
and whatever
absolutely.
other. But yeah, so you should try it.
It works. It really works.
Carnivore for life. So, yes, thank you, Carrie, for motivating us to make this our very first meat and marriage video. And please join our channel if you want to.
Doing what you do, bro.
Yes, you're awesome. Everyone in the carnivore community is awesome.
Very supportive.
Tiny
very
explanation.
Supportive.
We said marriage was the other thing that we love. We're very big on relationships, and we have a whole thing we do about how to make them better and understand your personality and stuff. But I will say, in terms of a community of people doing a thing, the carnivore community, to me, is one of the most balanced and supportive places. And
welcoming, supportive,
my suspicion is
encouraging.
because this way of eating heals your nervous system so thoroughly that we have more bandwidth
and emotionally balanced.
Be kinder and nicer.
That's just a fact.
That's the only thing I can
balanced.
think, because I've been working with people about emotional issues and traumas and personality problems and relationship issues for 20 years now, and like, I've never seen a community that is so consistently nice. And I'm just thinking it's got to be that. It certainly has worked for me.
Yeah.
Am I not nicer? All right, so good luck to all. Carrie, I hope this 24-hour stream just blows the roof off of the funding for your movie. We are so excited. And eat meat and have happy marriages.